Welcome to our class today. For today's practice, I prepared actually my bolster. Is it really necessary to have it? No, but it might be very comfortable if you have one. And if you want to create one, maybe roll up a couple of cushions, a blanket around them resembles that quite well. I've also placed my usual blanket there and the block. Perhaps these items are very useful as well. So we'll begin today in a seated position, and this is why this bolster is placed as it is. So I will choose to sit towards my heels, but I'm cradling the bolster between my legs. While this could still be very uncomfortable for some of us, please feel free to change your seated position to what feels more comfortable for you, and be that extending your legs. So the only reason why we are sitting is to get ourselves into an upright and tall position. So to get there, we might as well just sink in for a moment and notice how we're oftentimes sitting rounded, presumably comfortable. And then start moving just randomly in whatever form feels right for you. So you might move a bit into light stretching. You could turn your head to move through the neck, move the shoulders, or even your legs. So once we're kind of nestling in, I would ask you to lengthen through your spine while I myself will come up towards the camera so you can see what I'm doing with my hands. So for the mudra today, touch the tips of your middle fingers together. Then roll all the other 3 fingers in and touch the knuckles. And then bring the tips of your thumbs together. So this is quite a complex one, isn't it? So when you're holding it in front of you, it looks a bit like a heart shape here. It's basically the tips of the middle fingers and the thumbs touching, and all the other fingers are rolled into the palm of the hand. Once you've got that, you might place your thumbs lightly towards the lower sternum and let them touch here, so that the middle fingers are pointing upwards. I will take this mudra with me and settle back into the seat. Try and keep your shoulders as easy as they can be. Perhaps lower your gaze towards the mudra, or even close your eyes. Allowing yourselves to just check in with this hand gesture or mudra, called Kalashara mudra. Kalashara is standing for the Lord of Time. Allow yourself to feel into the name and the gesture itself, and perhaps acknowledging what arises for you. This mudra might help to control thoughts, but also perhaps emotions. It might direct the flow of your energy or prana within the body. And Kaleshvara, the name giver of this mudra, might guide us to contemplate time itself, our mortality, and our general behaviors that we show in this life. And as we might all be aware of, what we bring to our awareness is that we can change. Is there any traits about yourself that you would like to change? This might be the mudra to work with. Aware of our behaviors, Perhaps you like to keep this safe and focus to the behavior or on the behavior on this mat. Perhaps it is more about your daily life. Whatever feelings or emotions might have come up, take a breath in. And as you breathe out, could you choose to lean forward? If you need to briefly release the mudra, that's fine. I will move my bolster a bit further forward, but therefore come to touch the big toes together. And I will also grab a block and place that underneath the front side end of the bolster. Some of you might like that block a little bit higher. And then perhaps leaning the forehead down and allowing eyes to close again. So we shifted from Virashasana, seated position, into Balasana, or a downward facing hero, Ardha Mukha Virasana. If you found the mudra was very useful for you, bring it back out in front of you, perhaps even underneath the bolster. It is the tips of the thumb and the middle finger that are touching, and the other fingers are rolling into the palm of the hand, so the knuckles are together. If you find this is useful for you, you can stay here. Or some of you might like to bend their elbows and then bring the mudra behind the head. There's an extra stretch available in this position around your shoulders and armpits. So while our predominant shape here is the child's pose or downward facing hero, the mudra might be a lovely add-on, a way to keep the focus on the observation of our general behaviors and that concept of time and our life cycle. You might enjoy a few deeper breaths now. This curled in position or the position of the child, also marking the beginnings of our life cycle. As you might now release your mudra, step your hands down onto the mat so you can lift your torso. You might then remove the block as well as taking the bolster out from underneath. And perhaps reaching the arms to the front and lifting up to the fingertips. Walking the hands then across towards your right hand side and settling in over your knees. You might allow the hand closer to the midline to reach further away from you while leaning towards the other. Then walking the hands across the mat to the other side, leaning over this knee, and perhaps the same occurs. You might stretch the arm that's closer to the midline away from you deliberately. As you might bring your hands back into center and lift your hips up now to come into hands and knees position or all fours. As you might spread the hands out onto the ground, allow tops of the feet to press into the mat and find some solid support in your arms and legs. On the out breath, then rounding the spine for a cat. On the in breath, find length in the spine or tail and gaze lifting, and out to round back into the cat. Keep that flowing, breathing in and out to round. One more round. From where we might find an all four stand. And extending the right leg back. And this is sufficient. Or reaching the left arm forward too. A breath out to draw elbow, knee and nose together. A breath in to extend arm, leg and spine. Out breath to repeat. Inhale to lengthen again. One more round. And in breath to lengthen. Now lowering your left hand back down. And as you breathe out, draw your knee up. If you find this useful, you can help the foot forward, or you might be able to just step it towards the front. We're leaning just a little bit back and letting the hands slide back too. If you find your arms are not comfortably reaching the floor, please use a block. And then sliding the front foot out further. You might then lift the sole of the foot, the heel is digging into the ground, or you might choose to push forward in the ball of the foot and draw your toes back. In other words, flaunting the foot, raising in. And on the exhale, starting to lean over this front leg. You might stay exactly here, or you could choose to lengthen your spine forward in a microwave in the back, and then surrender a bit deeper towards the leg as you're breathing out. Staying with Ardha Hanumanasana, which this is the half monkey god pose. Keep active in your front foot and in your breath, predominantly the out breath. You might now choose to bring both hands to the inside of this front leg and lean closer towards the mat. Keeping your foot active on the front leg as well as the whole leg more or less extended. On your next in-breath, bending again into the right knee, sliding the foot into position. And as your next inhale, relax your upper body over your front thigh. Then a breath out to roll the spine up. As you lift your arms up, take a breath in. And draw the hands to touch down to heart center. Now you can choose to keep the prayer position or come back into Kalishvara Mudra, where the middle fingers are pointing up, the thumbs down, and the other fingers are touching at the knuckles. Finding a stance in your feet and legs that is solid, maybe hip distance apart. Breathing in for yet taller spine. And on the out breath, starting to turn towards the front leg, taking the mudra with you. As you might hold here within the twist. Again, breathing deeply, noticing whether the hips are still looking forward. And if it is somehow right, you might lean your elbow down and raise the other one up. Please take a note of the maybes here. Now breath in, where you release the mudra, reach one hand down and one hand up. And on the out breath, releasing the upper hand down and stepping the right knee back. Returning to your all four stand, quite solid on hands, feet and chin. On your next in-breath now, lifting the left leg up and perhaps even the right arm forward. On the out breath, drawing elbow, knee, nose together. On the inhale, lengthen. Out breath to curl it in. One more round. As you lengthen again, landing your hand down, and with the out breath, drawing the knee up towards the nose, and either helping or stepping that foot forward. Your hands might be on either side, but my toes are already crawling the foot forward. You might then lift the sole of the foot and slide the heel out a bit further. The same here. If you feel your arms have trouble reaching the floor comfortably, please choose support such as a block. Keep pressing out to the ball of the foot, drawing your toes backwards or floating. Breathe in for a long spine, and then start to lower down towards the leg. Same option as on the other side. You might choose to just hold here and let that dissolve. Or you might breathe in and find the subtle wave through the spine to straighten. And then an out breath to deepen this forward fold into Ardha Hanumanasana, this how monkey god pose. Being steady or like ripples through the spine to help deepen the form. Couple more breaths. After which you might take both hands to the inside of the front foot and lower down deeper towards the mat. Always intrigued with how these subtle changes impact how we experience shape in the body. On the breath in now, bending the front knee again, landing the foot onto the mat. You might release your hands to either side and let your upper body roll over your front thigh as you breathe in. Then exhaling to curl it up towards a stand on your hands and knees. Arms might reach up on a breath in, and you could draw the hands to touch again at heart center. Please feel free to keep Anjali Mudra or turn it into our mudra of the day. Middle fingers up, thumbs down, thumbs towards the sternum. Shuffle around if you're not quite hip distance and find stability from the floor. On the exhale, begin to turn towards the front leg. So we're back in a twist to the other side. Everything here is optional. You may stay right here, or you could choose to lean your elbow onto your thigh and perhaps raise the other elbow. Mindful here if shoulder problems occur. And final option, to open your arms, one up, one down. And then releasing the upper arm to the inside of the foot and stepping the knee back so you return to your all-four stand. A breath in, a breath out to round your buttocks back towards the heel. Now, if you are comfortable on the bolster, you can slide the bolster back underneath you. If you're fine sitting on a block, that might be slightly less effort to get there. So again, a seated upright position, no matter whether your legs are out long or you're sitting towards your heels. If you enjoy the mudra, you might have it in your hands again as you sit. If you prefer to rest the arms, index and thumbs might touch, the backs of the hands resting down instead. Eyes closed and sinking to the space between the sitting bones. Then starting to deepen your breath right down from the abdomen up towards the ribs and collarbones. A few deeper full yogi breaths to expand into your breathing. And then we will join in, if that is for you, a few rounds of Brahmari or the humming bee breath. For this, the exhalation we're humming, the inhalation happens when we lightly run out of air. So let's come in together, no need to wait for each other. Breathing in. Last round. Allowing a moment of stillness for observation. Then perhaps a breath in to extend the arms up and out to release the hands down. You might now choose to tuck your toes under, lift your knees off the floor, lower your heels and come to a standing forward bend. Perhaps the outer edges of your feet aligning with each other. You might keep your knees bent and let your fingertips brush around your feet. And as you hang yourself out, comfortably resting over the thighs, a long out breath then to uncurl the spine, leaving the upper body heavy for as long as is possible. Then lift your shoulders up and give them a little shrug back. I will step a little bit forward and I'd ask you to step towards the front side end of your mat as well. Keeping your feet at about hip distance. A breath in to raise the left arm. On the out breath, the right arm might cross in front for a side bend. On the in breath, come to center. On the out breath, releasing the arm. If you can't lift one arm, have it on your side as you breathe in. Out breath, lower arm in front for a side bend. Inhale, come to center. Exhale, release your arm. Repeat, breathing in. Out breath for a side bend. Inhale to stand up. Out breath to release. Other arm, breathing in. Out breath, side bend. Inhale, rise. Exhale, release. Last round to each side, reaching up on the in breath. And now a hold on the out breath. Your gaze might be up or down. Use both of your feet as if you wanted to push the mat away and then reach both arms in opposite directions. Breath in as you come back up and out to release the arm. I will do modified version here. Your right arm might lift on the breath in and we're bending to the side on the breath out. Pushing down into your feet and reaching with both sides in opposite directions. Breath in to rise back up, and out now to release your hands directly upon your pelvis. We will take a step back with the right foot and out towards the side. So I'll wiggle my feet to comfortable hip distance stance, then taking a bend into the front knee. This is for warrior one. We're drawing the feet lightly inward and perhaps even lifting the arms up. If you're really fond of the mudra, you might bring that down in front of your heart space. Otherwise, arms could be extended. Your gaze could be upwards or straight towards the front. Your feet still drawing inwards as you stand in Virabhadrasana 1, warrior 1. Pushing into the ball of the front foot as you breathe in to straighten the front leg. And then on the out breath, let your hands slide down this front leg. You might come all the way towards the floor. Some of you might prefer to use a block. As you lean with your nose towards the knee, keep some pressure down into the ball of your front foot so that your pelvis stays aligned. Couple more breaths. Then as you breathe in, bending your front knee, lifting your spine up. You might even fly your arms out towards the sides if that's right for you. And some might even lift the back foot off the floor, finding a warrior 3 or aeroplane pose. Keep your toes looking down, your gaze looking down, and aim for length from heel to crown of the head. Then take the back foot again to the floor at that same hip distance stance. Let your arms, however, come behind your back, and you could choose to take a hold of opposite wrists, elbows, or aim for a reverse prayer behind your back. So whatever you're holding on here, press down into the ball of front foot again, lift and just squeeze the shoulder blades, your sternum, and then start to move with that push into the mat, back down towards your pyramid shape. Only difference, no arm support, but you might be able to keep squeezing your elbows and shoulder blades together and leading down towards the front leg with your heart space. Then let your front knee soften, your arms unfold, and take a step forward so we're landing back in a standing forward bend. A half lift as fingertips may support on floor or leg, and out breath to fold again. You might keep your knees bent and once more sway the body. Let it move and let it flow. Then softening down. And on the out breath, beginning to uncurl the spine again, upper body heavier for as long as is available. Raising the shoulders, giving yourself a shrug back and resting hands again upon the pelvis. We'll now take a step back with the left foot, and the same here, we take it out to the side as well. As you land, shuffle, so you land at hip distance, back toe slightly turned forward, front knee in a light bend, and your hips are looking directly to the front. Now perhaps drawing your feet inward so you stand more firm and tall. Arm options for warrior 1, lifting the arms up, palms facing or touching, or if you're a big fan of the mudra today, bring that back down in front of your chest. Thumbs always lightly touching the sternum if you do, and focusing on the stability and inner strength while you take a note of yourself. On the in-breath, then straightening the front leg. On the out-breath, let your hands reach towards the leg and start to fold down. But at the same time, you're pressing into the ball of this front foot. A block might come in handy unless you like your hands to be free. And then leaning your nose back down towards the knee by keeping that pressure into the ball of the foot to align the pelvis. Version of the pyramid shape. On the next in-breath, bending into the front knee, lifting your spine halfway, perhaps flying the arms out to the sides, keeping spine long, and maybe even lifting the back foot, flexing it for an aeroplane pose. As you look down and reach forward with the top of the head, you're also stretching back out into the heel of the foot. Then land the foot back down at the same distance where it was before. Take your arms again behind the back, and if you are holding onto wrists or elbows, just change the arm on top. Otherwise, back to the reverse prayer position. So squeezing the shoulder blades together, lifting the heart, pressure back into the ball of the foot, and coming forward again to the pyramid shape. As we push the floor away with solid, shoulder blades and elbows might be encouraged back and behind you. Two more breaths. Then gently releasing your hands down, stepping the foot back forward, and once more folding into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. You might leave your fingertips on the floor this time and lift your shoulders up into the shoulder socket. You might also lean lightly forward towards your toes and then pause here for another 3 breaths. Then gently beginning to uncurl the spine towards standing. You might lift the shoulders again and shrug them lightly back. I suggest to stand for a while facing the long side edge of the mat. Before you turn your right foot forward and step the feet apart so that the left hip can be turned lightly inwards, the heel outwards. I've got a moderate stance of just about 1 meter apart, and I'm again applying that pressure into the ball of the front foot. So this time it is to switch on your quad muscle and turn the knee forward. Arms might reach out unless you need to rest one. And on the exhale, finding Trikonasana or the triangle pose. So if an arm up isn't yours, hand in the side of the waist is just as good. You might allow some pressure from leg into back of the hand and vice versa to keep your top shoulder back. Gaze can be down or upward. If it is available, bend into the front knee, open your arms, and see if you can bring the back leg in and lift it up and find a star shape. From your star, could you bend the knee in the air, place the big toe down, heel towards the leg, and perhaps even find our mudra again, hands touching. If you prefer the foot for Vrikshasana or tree a bit higher, you might place it anywhere against the inside of your leg, but against the knee. finding steadiness in the tree. Always a smile on your lips if the steadiness ends up dancing. As you might reopen your arms, take a step back and relax your arms down. We will swivel the feet around. So now the left side toes are pointing forward. The right heel is lightly turned out. So applying the same pressure to the ball of the front foot, using that to unlock front knee and align it. Arms might reach out unless you have different preferences. And on your outburst, tilting into another triangle. So often when we lean forward here, that front knee locks in. Remind yourself of the pressure into the ball of the foot, and then perhaps back of the hand and inner leg against each other to help with your openness of the upper body. Your choice to look upwards or to look downwards. Keeping your breath flowing. Noticing where you're at on this side. And then if this feels good, bend into the front knee while you open your arms on a breath in, and maybe even the leg lifts off the floor. Finding your star shape. And from the star, the leg in the air might bend, as you could place your heel against the leg or the foot on the inner leg. Maybe you're building a crown, maybe branches, perhaps it's the mudra that you choose to hold in front of you. Finding your tree by growing tall from the roots up to the crown. And then a pause to play with your balance. As we release the arms and step the foot back, turning one last time towards the long side end of the mat, the feet now parallel. A breath in as you might slide your hands to your waist, lift your heart, squeeze shoulder blades and elbows. Then bending your knees deeply as you come to Padarita Padottanasana, the right-legged forward bend. Keep the squeeze of the elbows and the shoulder blades. Lean the weight lightly forward. Let the head go if that's possible. And take 3 long, deep out breaths. After which you might slide your hands down to the mat and then bring one knee down after the other. Coming into a seated position on the mat, stepping your feet out in front. You can have all the props near you that you might require. But what I'd like you to try, if that is possible for you, is leaning into the hands and maybe even letting your legs come out. A wonderful observational pose. But now comes the challenge. You might bend your right knee and rest your ankle upon your left thigh. If you do so, please flex the higher ankle joint. You might now bring a bend into the lower leg and bring these legs up towards you. The closer you pull the foot in, the stronger the stretch. If you want more, step up onto your fists or fingertips and lift your heart up towards the shin, holding here a seated figure 4 posture. Now the foot stays flexed, so we're engaging around ankle and knee joints, and the heart is lifting. There's nothing else to do at this point. Just taking a few breaths. As you might lean back into your hand, slide the leg out long and place both feet down onto the ground, lengthening again through the spine. Let the knees roll over onto your right hand side and maybe start to look across towards the left. Then pull back into center and repeat to the other side. Then rolling back to the center and letting both legs extend out long again. We'll do the same on the other side, however that unfolds, as you might bend your left knee, place your ankle upon the thigh and flex the foot. This is already lightly hip opening, but perhaps the lower leg can bend. Maybe it comes in further, and perhaps you would even like to lift your chest actively towards your shin. Keep the flexion in the foot so the ankle and the knee stay active, and actively perhaps reaching with your chest towards the lower leg. Hold here, observe time, sensations as well as reactions you might have internally. To release, lean back gently, let the legs slide out long again, and place your feet back onto the ground, where you might swing your feet over to your left, but this time rise all the way up to sit, and the left hand might come to the outside of the knee, and then encouraging us into a deeper twist. The Andrasana, Lord of the Fish pose, as you could take the front arm behind the back again, lean back to change sides, then lift yourself back up, and the back of the right hand now to the outside of the leg, and turning back towards the twist. Always room to close the eyes, but stay present and observe yourself. As you notice the concepts of the two sides, and that is within your awareness right now. You might then turn back to the front, releasing your form. And my suggestion here is now to spontaneously grab a strap if you've got one nearby, but you could also choose to practice without if there's nothing in your reach that resembles a belt, a towel, or a light. So my apologies for not mentioning earlier, but you can practice without the strap. And in that case, I suggest to have the bolster within your reach too. We'll continue while lying down on the back. Extending the right leg while you bring the strap around the ball of the foot. If you're not working with the strap, take a hold behind the leg as it is extended. If you do have a strap, let your hands slide down either side. Your choice in both variation, hands or strap, is to extend the left leg out. As you might pull the leg in towards you. Breath in, you might lightly let that leg go, and then breath out as you draw it in a bit closer. And the same here if you're using your hands. It's oftentimes when we do that the pelvis is really coming out of alignment too. So you might encourage the right side of the pelvis to stay aligned with the left, while the leg comes in further on each out breath. Now, if you're a big fan of hip opening, your choice to do that with the strap is the right hand only holding both sides of the strap. If you're using the hand, place the right hand to the outside of the leg and then a breath in so the leg opens towards the side. Now, if you're using the hand, you might lower your elbow down and hold your leg in place like this. If you're on the strap, elbow might be down as well as you hold onto the strap instead of the leg. Now, trying to keep your left side of the buttocks grounded. We're actually getting some space into the inner thigh. However, you might choose to support that. On the inhale, let your hand help you to bring the leg up. I am suggesting here to bend the knee. If you're using a strap, keep that around the foot. If you're not, too easy, opposite hand to the knee. And then guiding your knee across your body. The trick here is to keep both shoulders grounded. For that, I choose to turn the right palm upwards. And perhaps you would even like to look over towards the right arm. And rolling again onto your back, extending the right leg once more, whether you hold on or you've got the strap. If you've got the strap, open it up. For all, the left leg might extend towards the ceiling. If you're using a strap, the ball of the left foot comes in. We'll then bend the right knee and land the foot onto the ground, the same here, holding onto strap or leg. And option to let the right leg extend out long onto the mat. While on the next out breath, you're drawing the left leg up towards your body. Now you could work with that light release on the inhale and then a deeper pull on the exhale for a little while. No matter your approach, the foot in the air might be flexed, and the left side of the pelvis perhaps aligned with the right. Getting that stretch right into the back of the leg, increasing mobility that we've already worked on in the pyramid form. Last breath here. From where you can choose to leave your left hand on the outside of the leg to open it, or take a hold of both ends of the strap. Right hand might rest on the pelvis as you open your leg out. The elbows might land. You can support by holding onto the strap or the outside of the leg instead, keeping the right side of the buttocks grounded. Guiding your leg back into center. And the same here, if you have the strap, keep it in your hand, but we'll all bend the left knee, taking right hand towards it. Left arm might open, and then a breath out to guide this knee across the body, aiming to keep the left shoulder on the floor and maybe looking over towards the extended arm. And slowly rolling again onto the back. Once more, I suggest to extend the left leg and the right leg too. Perhaps both feet end up in the strap if you're using a strap. Now, for those of you using a strap, I will choose to use the hammock. But if you're using the hands to adjust, you might actually step your feet down, grab your bolster, lift your hips up and bring the bolster under the lower back to extend your legs towards the ceiling. If you're having your strap around the balls of the feet, take the end, the buckle, and close it. So that if that is a successful thing to do, folding the strap through the buckle and then holding the buckle just on one side and away from the head, and then lifting the head up so you're landing with the head resting in the strap above your ears, your legs extending quite heavily into the strap. So can you see that perhaps I'm actually rocking the legs and my whole body is rocking. This is only to demonstrate that I've fully trusted the weight of my head into the strap, and I'm keeping the head as well as the shoulders away from the floor, using my legs into the strap. Hands have now surrendered and open the arms up, palms looking upwards. If you've got your hips lying on the bolster, you can relax your arms too. And then let's stay in this inversion in a restful form for a little while. Noticing time passing, thoughts, emotions coming and going. Now, if you're on the bolster, bending your knees and gently landing your feet to the ground, from where you might lift the hips up and push the bolster under the knees. If you're with me, use both hands to hold onto the strap. Hold onto the head this way. Let your feet out. Lower them to the ground. And then let your hands help you guide the head to the floor without any extra muscle strength. As you come to rest your upper body, you might do the same. Place the bolster underneath your knees. You could also choose to step your feet out wide and let the knees roll in, or you might choose to extend your legs out long and find rest here. Shavasana, or constructive rest. As you settle into the space, you might allow the eyes to close again. If you prefer to have a steady gazing point, then look up towards the ceiling, settling your gaze. You could choose to hold this mudra, but I find it is quite strenuous and it takes a little bit away from the relaxation that you might rather be after. So this is only an option if you choose to engage this way, resting the mudra on top of your chest. Otherwise, arms as usual, resting along the sides of your body while we still keep focusing, trying to learn a bit more about ourselves. As you take a note about your arms and fingers, how they feel. How are your legs, feet, and toes? What about your torso, front and back? The head and the neck? Now aware of your physical body, Bring your attention to the flow of your breath. A really good tool to have in general, and perhaps your choice on keeping your focus there. If you find it easy to be, you might now take your attention to the thoughts. Maybe you had a light intention in mind when you heard about the mudra and its purpose. If this is you, repeat that intention already realized silently to yourself. Aware with this intention still in your mind to create clarity in your mind and your thoughts. And perhaps there were ways in this practice that assisted you in this form. As it is in this mudra, all about time, cycle of life. The card that came up for our practice today is from the Yoga Wisdom deck, and it is eternal existence. Words coming from the Gita, translated, the body is temporary, but the true self is everlasting. In yoga, the Atman, the self or the soul, is eternal and inhabits many forms over time. Through work over many incarnations, all of us will eventually become fully awake and conscious, realizing the true self, attaining perhaps that higher awareness of samadhi, or even Christ consciousness or Buddhahood. You can never be harmed. You are an eternal being, part of a universal consciousness that is infinite. Only your temporary form can be hurt. You are not your body. Your body is merely a vehicle of consciousness, which you use while it is useful, and discard to continue your journey. This card came up as a reminder that you are more than your current form in this lifetime. You're an aspect of universal consciousness, eternal and divine. Connect to the true self often through stillness and silent presence. Perhaps you keep these ideas with you, carry them into your day, and take moments of stillness and presence. Letting your breath now deepen. Rising from the stillness, you might choose to move. Perhaps you even like to stretch. And finally, coming to sit up, whether that's over the front of the body or rolling onto your side. As we come together in this seated form once again, I suggest to reattempt our mudra by touching middle and thumbs together, folding the other fingers in and letting the thumbs lightly rest towards the sternum. Gaze low or eyes closed, seated solidly in between your sitting bones. Aware that we are all connected, not so much through time, but with that divine energy, the universal energy that we all hold within ourselves. From that acknowledgement and perhaps a clearer mind, we bow to extend toward each other. Namaste.